Well, we know that there was a COBRA meeting at officials level, and that is the government's crisis meeting grouping, a real sign that this is a serious crisis for the UK government. And usually when you have an officials level meeting, that will usually be followed by a ministers level meeting. This is probably the last thing that Theresa May would have wanted to have happened at the very end of her watch. But it really is a crisis. It's the kind of worst nightmare scenario that we had ever since Iran threatened to target British tankers following the seizure with the help of British Royal Marines of an Iranian tanker off the coast of Gibraltar 2 weeks ago. Since then, we've had evidence of the Royal Navy, a warship, HMS Montrose, a Type 23 frigate, not officially escorting, but for all intents and purposes, escorting a number of commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz, that narrow waterway between Iran and the United Arab Emirates. On this occasion, though, there was no Royal Navy ship, it would seem, able to intervene to prevent what looks like a military operation to force this British flag tanker to turn swiftly into Iranian waters and now be held by the Iranians. It's a significant escalation, and one that goes against what Britain has been trying to achieve throughout the heightened tensions between the United States and Iran in the Gulf, and that is for de-escalation. So it really will remain to be seen how the UK does respond. Obviously, the priority is to secure the release of this tanker and the safe release of its 23 crew members. Iran will most likely be wanting, in return, the release of its tanker. Britain has tried the whole way through since the seizure of the Grace 1 tanker off Gibraltar to differentiate between that situation, which it says was all about upholding EU sanctions against importing oil into Syria, and the crisis in the Gulf. Iran sees no such distinction. It wants the release of its tanker, and you could well imagine it holding this British tanker until that happens.
Deborah, there's been some criticism this evening that the British Navy simply hasn't been doing enough to escort British flagged vessels through the Strait of Hormuz at this very sensitive and difficult time. Just remind us of what Navy hardware is currently in the region.
Yes, and that criticism is to be expected, frankly. It's not like Britain didn't have sufficient warning that its vessels were specifically being targeted by Iran. However, for the UK side of things, they've got to tread this delicate balancing act between not wanting to escalate the situation by increasing their military presence significantly in the Gulf,